I was just looking at the date here, and it turns out this is going to be my last audio journal podcast for February. How great is that? Not because it's the last one, but because March is right around the corner. And March is kind of like the beginning of spring. There's some days in March where you can quite possibly, here in Pennsylvania, get away with wearing shorts. But then the next day it'll snow. So it's like one of those things. But it feels good, kind of like getting out of this winter slump that I feel like that I've been in. I should say welcome if you're just tuning in for the first time. This is my audio journal podcast where I sit down, I just talk about my week, my life, things I've been thinking about, things I've been doing, all of that fun stuff. And this week, well, I guess before I get into what I've been doing, let's start this off the way that we've been starting every episode off this year, and that is with a weight loss update. Some of you guys may still be on this journey with me. I know the beginning of the year, which is when I started, right after Clark Man's birthday, I decided that I wanted to finally make losing some weight and getting in shape a priority in my life. And I've been doing that. I know some people probably have fallen off the wagon. That being said, at the gym today, it felt like it was busier than it's ever been. So maybe more people are getting on the wagon. Maybe they're listening to the podcast and they're like, oh, Greg can do this. I can do this, would be an honor. I'm down 1 pound this week. I'm happy with that, but also kind of disappointed because we haven't been going to the gym for a while. In fact, I haven't gone to the gym since before we left for our trip. And even before then, I was doing a lot of elliptical stuff here. So today we finally went back, super busy, but still getting on the scale today after I was done, down 1 pound from last week. And that is with us having Five Guys last night too. I was like, oh gosh, we were all craving it. We haven't had Five Guys in forever. I honestly can't tell you the last time we've been there. It's my favorite burger place. It's not quite fast food. It's sort of like that, but it's super expensive, but it's super delicious. So you kind of have to weigh all those things out. And we had that last night, and the stuff's super salty, especially the fries. That sodium's going to kill me. And Friday which is when I'm recording this, is my weigh-in day. So I always like to have that be the one that really stands out. And luckily, I guess with that being my only meal from yesterday, I'm still doing the one meal a day type thing, or trying to get as close to that as I can. Not taking any calories in through drinks, still doing that. I was still able to go down 1 pound this week, which puts me down 14.2 pounds this year. And we're not even 2 months in yet. So that feels pretty darn good. And that compounded with the fact that we went to Hawaii for 10 days and I really went off the wagon, I guess. It was there was no regard for health there. And I went up 2 pounds that week. So if I hadn't done the Hawaii thing and if we had stuck with our routine before getting out of it, I'd be doing even better, but I feel pretty darn happy with 14.2 down. If you're wondering where I'm at on the progress, how long are you going to keep doing this, Greg? Well, I've got about 13 left to go. If I lose another 13 pounds, I'm at my ideal weight, my fighting weight, I'm good. I'm done. I mean, there's obviously maintaining and stuff there, but I don't think I want to lose much more weight beyond that because then it's just going to be I'm going to look like a cancer patient. So that's my plan to keep kind of doing what I'm doing and watching what I'm eating, making sure I'm getting my exercise in when I can, which is, I can do it every day. You can do anything you want to do if make it a priority, and that's what I'm learning through this. Anything that I want to accomplish, and I think we've talked about this before in one of the 3 questions, which we will be doing more of those today for the second to last time. One of the things that I've learned in life is that if there's something that you really want, you really want it, whether good or bad, you will find a way to get it. And this weight thing is exactly that. It just wasn't a priority for me for a long time. In fact, when we came back, it was it wasn't a priority then, but it's I got to get back into this. So back on it, and it's a priority. Speaking of priorities, my week this week, you want the boring stuff first or the exciting stuff? Let's get the boring out of the way. A lot of video editing. Obviously, when we were in Maui, I was recording all the time. I try to capture as much as I can because you want that pool of footage to create something out of it. It's when you go and you get parts for all of the things you're trying to build in the world of Lego. You want to have as many parts as you can to make this sculpture you're trying to make, or translate that to anything in your life. You want to have as much stuff to pull from as you can. So I recorded probably an hour every day, maybe an hour and a half or whatever, and then I try to cut that down into what I hope to be an entertaining video, something that has a good pace that, people can get through. That's usually maybe 10 to 15 minutes long. And I'm trying to put one of those out every other day. It's been a lot of work editing those, but we're getting through it. As for No 0 Days recordings, I pretty much stopped doing that. There's just nothing exciting happening. It's I think I talked about this last week too. I started when I came back, I went right back into my No 0 Days routine, but it was just all right, guys, I'm working on editing a video. All right, guys, I'm getting groceries. All right, guys, I'm working on a Lego build. And it just wasn't in my opinion, worth putting out. I know there's people that would literally watch anything that I upload, and I appreciate that. To all the troopers out there that can survive that. But I'm like, as I'm editing these Maui videos, it's got me thinking, like, when I put out a video, I don't want it just to be, this is me like running through the routine of a day. I want it to be something special. In fact, I'm even thinking about like our next trip or next few trips. We've got a couple things like already paid for, already planned. So that's a good thing. But I'm thinking like, I would be much better off, I think, instead of just being like, this is our day in Maui, to like chop that up into a few different videos of being like, what it's like to eat at this restaurant in Maui, what it's like to go snorkeling at Black Rock, like all these different things that if someone were to try to want to know about or search for on YouTube, maybe our video would pop up. And my goal through that would be that they watch that video. It's like, okay, I want to go snorkeling at Black Rock. What can I expect there? What can you expect snorkeling at Black Rock? Perfect title. I'm just using that as a small example. Person clicks our video. We're just some random schmo that they've never heard of before, don't know anything about because they don't watch Thomas videos probably. And they watch the video, and hopefully through that video, it's not just informative, but also kind of entertaining and a little bit fun. And maybe through finding that, they're like, oh, I kind of like these guys. What else do they do? Oh my God, they've been making videos for the last 12 years on YouTube. All right, let me sub. Let's see what else these guys get into. That could be a great way to grow your channel. A great way to appease your current audience is just to share like I do, right? The day-to-day stuff, the stuff that you guys say when I do a poll, that's what you want to see. And I can respect that. But to the average person, most people don't really care about vlogs necessarily. They come to YouTube for entertainment, information, education, whatever. And I think I could fill in those spots a lot better if I were to do my videos a little differently. So shoot a little more of like events and things and a little less of like behind the scenes, but maybe the behind the scenes could be a thing within itself, which is something I've been like kind of like thinking about as well. So there's all kinds of things that are happening behind the scenes right now that I'm not ready to share just yet, but I eventually will, of tons of things that I've been pondering. A little bit of pondering this week. So editing those videos and kind of just like filling in all the days of me not recording current stuff, just kind of keeping that going. I like that. In fact, I was talking to Cody. I'm like, we could just make Greg's World almost like a travel thing where we go and have a bunch of fun over a course of like, a week or 2 weeks, month. Ideally, that'd be really cool. Just leave for a month and go explore everything. And then over the next 3 months after that, have those videos kind of come out in batches of all the things we did. And then, who knows what could come of that. I just think that's like maybe a direction that I'm interested in going potentially. There's so many directions that you can go when you do this, and like trying to figure out which one's the best thing or the smartest thing business wise, which I typically make decisions with my heart and not my checkbook necessarily. It's a lot to think about. And sometimes I envy people. Not that I'd ever want to go back to my old life of being miserable in an office somewhere, but I do envy people sometimes that can just go into a place, do the job that's decided for them, and then they leave and they're done with it. But so few times does that actually happen where you just leave your job and everything that was going on there just stays there. A lot of that you take home with you. So I'm never going to be envious of that, but I am envious of like having like a leader, I guess sometimes. But I've always, in those experiences, the leaders that I've had have never been great ones, and I've always much more appreciated being like the lone wolf that's going out for the kill, and that's where I'd much rather be than the hyena that's hanging out at the. I don't know where I'm going. Are we talking about Lion King here? What's happening? So that's Greg's World, editing Maui videos. I guess just prepping for like our next like exciting thing that's going to happen. I know Clark is itching to get back into the world of RC vehicles, which will be a thing here in the spring. Like once it warms up, I've got a whole series that I want to do with those that I think will be a lot of fun. So he wants to do that. That's something that kind of pops off on our channel too. People love RC stuff, and it's, for me, it's like the most fun content to make. I love RC vehicles. You may have noticed. You may have seen the wall in my garage that's covered in them. It's so much fun, and we do that together. And I think the videos are just like it's a fun experience for all of us, including the viewer. So we got that coming up. Just all kinds of things happening. Other things that are happening though right now that I've been excited about, that I have been dedicating a lot of time to because I felt like I needed to kind of breathe some life back into it after being gone for so long, is brickitect, my Lego channel. Some of you may have heard of it. I've kind of found my way there this past week. I started like kind of just starting each video with like a little bit of a story, and then it goes into like sharing what I accomplished that day. And I really love that style. Like I kind of like each thumbnail kind of looking the same. I got rid of any idea of putting any kind of text or like crazy flashy things in the thumbnail, even though that I guess does well. I mean, everybody does that, right? But I want, and what it has become, I want it to feel very much like the Greg's World podcast, where you come there for like the engagement, and the Lego thing is secondary and always has been. I'm kind of doing this more of a solo thing, like while Clark's at school, because like he does school and he plays Minecraft and we play video games together, which I will talk about here in just a bit. But the Lego thing's kind of like, it used to be us together every day because he was home with me and he kind of came into the hobby. And now it's kind of like just back to being me again. And the interesting thing is, and this is kind of shocking to me, more people seem to be interested in the solo thing than with withClark. And some of you guys are like shocked. You're like, the only reason I subscribed, Greg, was for withClark. And there was a period of time where people were like that, like it's gone in like chapters. There was the period where I did it solo and I brought withClark on. People hated Clark. And then eventually people hated it when Clark wasn't in videos. But now it's like we're in kind of a new chapter. And this chapter has been a really good one for me because I'm accomplishing things that have been on my list for a very long time. Including this week, I finally built this vintage Lego pirate ship that I've had for a year and a half that I've been wanting to build. People have been waiting for it. I built that thing and it turned out really nice and made like a really great video, with the story behind that, like being the storyteller. YouTube is all about stories and what engages people. And the reason you're watching this right now is because there's a story here. It may not be one that's like super tight or like actually goes anywhere or has a beginning or end, but it's kind of like you jumped into the middle of a story, which is what a journal is. And I think that's probably why you find this engaging. I'll never know because you won't say anything in the comments, but this is just me getting my little dig in there. It's what I think is the most appealing thing, at least to me, when I watch videos. And if I could find more people doing exactly this, I would eat it up, like literally. I would eat my phone while someone is doing an audio journal. Start one. Consider it. Let me know you're making it. So I did the pirate thing. I really love that. And then I did something else this week too that's been on my Lego bucket list, if you will, for a long time. And that is to create a junk build, which essentially is taking a Lego set and instead of like building the set or buying the set, you look at the directions for it, which are all digital now. You can find them digitally or online. And then there's always an inventory that's associated with that, trying to get those pieces and building up yourself without buying a set or spending money. And I really enjoy that. I did that with a gift with purchase that I actually owned, but I didn't want to open because I want to keep it as like a collector's piece or maybe an investment. So I ended up finding the pieces for this. I didn't have all the exact ones, but what I learned in this is that it doesn't matter if you have the right colors or even the exact pieces, because some of these pieces are sometimes new, sometimes a little more rare that you wouldn't have found in a yard sale lot from 2012 or something, right? So you just kind of customize it, make it your own. And I find in doing that, I find that way more rewarding than opening a box and like pouring the contents out and building up what a designer entrusted me to build or whatever. I like kind of going out on my own and getting the kill. It's the same thing. We're going out and getting the kill. And with that, it was a Bionicle set, by the way. It was cool just to see that done, and it kind of took away any yearning that I had to actually build that set. Like obviously looking at the box, I'm like, oh, I really want that, and that's the whole reason I made an order, was to get that. But when you have the pieces, like when you have a decent collection like I do, and much of which is even still yet organized or even out in the studio space that I'm using here, you can replicate these things using what you have. And in doing that, one, you're saving money. You're having a little bit of an adventure going through, like trying to find all that stuff. I usually listen to a podcast or I have like YouTube on in the background while I'm doing it. So that's kind of nice. And then you have a sense of accomplishment when you're done. And through making a video about that, maybe you're encouraging other people out there to use what they have to make something, whether it's replication or replicating what someone else has already designed or made, or making something of their own. And I think I may be one of the only, like, what you would consider a full-time Lego YouTubers out there actively trying to convince people to not buy Lego and to enjoy and be creative with what they have. And that's, at this point, my life goal. Not only with myself, but with others as well. I think I can be a good voice for that. And I love it when I hear from parents. I've heard from a few parents that like their kids are getting inspired. And that's like, dude, what better thing than that? Because I could sit here and open up boxes and boxes of Lego sets and be like, I got this new one. Look at my $5,000 Lego haul. That's great. But what does that mean to a 10-year-old that's watching? Like, okay, my parents don't have that kind of money. I wish I had that set. It makes them feel worse about themselves. When I sit here and I show you something that I built, literally pulling pieces out of drawers, maybe you could do something like that. Go find a little Lego set that you want to try to build online and see if you can pull it off. I think there's no greater good than that. And I think that is my purpose. I think that's where I need to go with this. And that's where I'm taking it. So it's a little bit of storytelling, a little bit of show and tell, and a lot of like encouragement. And that's my Lego channel in a nutshell. So if you like this, most of you guys you've already come here from other places. If you like this kind of thing with a little bit of Lego flair on it, a lot of it shorter, you should come over and check that out, because that's what I'm doing. So I'm trying to do a video there every other day as well. I find that's like the lifespan of a video. Video comes out, your subscribers watch it, notified, whatever, they see it, and then like maybe the next day they kind of see it in their subscription feed, but after that your video might as well just not even exist. So then that's when you come out with another video, and it's just like you always stay on people's radar. I think doing the everyday thing becomes like a lot. That's a lot to do when you're actually like constructing things and then also filming them and editing them. That's a lot to take on. So I'm thinking like 3-4 videos a week, maybe 3 videos in a short, because I have some things that's just like, it's not even long enough to even justify making a video on. It's just like, hey, I built this thing out of Lego. Check this out. Boom. YouTube short, done. Someone might watch that, find it, be like, oh, that's cool. What else does this guy do? Oh, he's like the motivational speaker of Lego. Great. Also hated probably by Lego, because I'm trying to actively convince people to not bother. Don't buy it. And that's where I'm at. Like, my storage room is full. I don't think buying new Lego sets is going to bring me any more happiness. In fact, I would actually be more happy, this is going to sound crazy, if I were to sell some of this off. Like, I just have so much, and it's from years and years of just going wild in this space. But that's a hobby, and that's why I'm trying to avoid hobbies where you actively collect things. Speaking of other hobbies, gaming has been a hobby of mine. I mentioned that Clark and I are doing a lot of that now. We're doing more gaming together than we are Legoing together, because when you're 8 years old, that just, I guess, becomes your life, as I'm learning. And Fortnite has become our thing. We really we do duos together, so it's both of us sitting here split screen, just like the old school days of Lego. Not Lego, of video games. Got Lego on the brain now. And we work together to work towards this goal, which is killing 98 other people. What a great role model I am, right? But we sometimes are able to accomplish that, and it's a great feeling. And it's regardless of what happens, like we're on this quest together, and I love that. He also loves playing Minecraft too, but something that I like playing solo. Like, I'm kind of out on Minecraft. He does that on his own channel. He streams it. He loves it. I'm into like every other thing. Like, I've done enough Minecrafting in my life to say like, okay, I'm good. But this week I ended up getting my steering wheel back out for Gran Turismo 7, steering wheel shifter, pedal combo. I love doing that. I don't think I could go back to playing racing games without that now. And I was having fun just kind of doing some of the challenges and stuff with that. So I'm kind of getting back into that. We made some gaming videos this week for my gaming channel. So we got videos coming out everywhere. It's just like, this has become like my priority again, which is why I was kind of neglecting the other things, like spending a couple hours every day going to the gym and doing all that stuff. But you got to find balance in these things, and that's what I'm trying to do. It can't be, this is going to happen every day, this is going to happen every day, this is going to happen every day, and this is going to happen every day. It's just too much to balance, even without like the demands of a job that takes 40 hours a week of your life. Like, I need to do all the things that I love to do and find time for all those. I would be way smarter and better if I were to find that one thing and just focus all of my attention on that. That's when you become wildly successful on YouTube. So if you're thinking about starting, like, don't do what I do, where you have a Lego channel, a gaming channel, a podcast channel, a vlog channel, live streaming channel, all of this stuff. Just find that one thing that you love to do, or like your hobby or whatever that thing is, and just do that specifically, because then people will find one of your videos and they're like, oh, I like, you make videos about trains. Cool. What else do you do? Oh, video about train. Oh, video about, you do nothing but trains? That's exactly what I came to you for. My stuff is like, oh, I love, let's go with my idea for my channel, pizza, pretzels, pickles, and parks. I love pizza. Let me look at pizza reviews. Oh, this guy and his kid, he's got a big slice of pizza hanging out of his mouth. I got to check this out. Oh, cool. I love pizza. Wait, what is this video about pickles? I don't like pickles. Pickles are gross. Wait, why are you making a video about an amusement park? I don't care about that. I want to see the pizza. So you can see, like, people come for something very specific. But in my case, for me at least, I hope to win you over after you've come to visit us, essentially. That's what the Lego thing has been. It's like, you might find us through Lego, but that is just the vehicle. It's not the destination. I've talked about that in the past with these. I feel like, themes repeat themselves, but the vehicle, not the destination. I don't even know where the destination is. We're still on the ride. We're still riding around together. Anyways, that's kind of what I was up to this week. Cool thing happened this week. Not really funny, but awesome. I've been using this microphone setup. It's a DJI microphone where it's like wireless. You hook it up to your camera. You put the other thing on your shirt. It's really cool. But I really like the way that it looks like hanging off of your shirt. And I was thinking it'd be way better and maybe probably sound better if I had like a lavalier microphone. So I found one on Amazon. It was like $79, kind of pricey, but I use this for all my Lego videos now, since I'm like actively telling a story. And I like that I flip the camera around and the audio stays exactly the way that it was before. Like before, I was fighting with I don't think I have one near me, but like a shotgun microphone that's facing you. It sounds great, but as soon as you turn the camera around, you have to like take that thing off and face it towards you again, and it's just like you're always like moving in different spaces from it. It never sounds exactly the way that it should. So I've decided to go with this lavalier setup, and I went on Amazon and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to finally buy this. I had some points because we have an Amazon credit card and that adds up, and I was like, cool, I'll buy it. When you know it, that like I was editing and then I looked at my email and I got an email from B&H, which is where I used to buy all of my equipment from, because they had this deal where if you didn't have to pay sales tax, they would cover the sales tax for you. And then they got into this deal where they didn't do that anymore, but they give you a credit card where if you use their card, you wouldn't have to pay sales tax. In Pennsylvania, that's 6%. So getting a 6% deal on any kind of expensive item like a microphone, a camera, a lens, all of that stuff definitely helps. And in this case, like they were doing business with one credit card bank and then they stopped doing it with them. So they were like, hey, you have to sign up again if you want to do this through another company. I was like, okay, cool, I'll do that. And there was an issue with the cards coming and it took forever, which wasn't a huge deal because I wasn't like actively trying to buy anything. It was just like a preparation for the future. And I didn't think much of that, but that same day that I bought that lavalier mic, they sent me an email that says, hey, sorry for how long it took to get the cards out. Here's a $50 gift certificate that you can use on our website. And I was like, there's something that I just bought that I could have used that $50 towards. So I went on Amazon, I canceled that order, and then I bought it through B&H. So instead of costing $79, it cost me $29. That was just like perfect timing. Now it would have been way cooler if it had been like, it almost would have been materialized in my mind. I've been like, I really want to get that lavalier microphone. And then all of a sudden, this is how the secret works. The law of attraction, even though it's just a coincidence in some cases, the law of attraction would have brought that email to me at that very moment, and then I would have bought it. So it didn't work out exactly like that, but you get the idea. It was kind of good timing. So I canceled the order, no problems there. Jeff Bezos was totally fine, and he's going to be okay. He's not even working there anymore, I don't think. But I got it through B&H, and it should be arriving today. Actually, quicker shipping than Amazon, and it's because it's like in New York, so it's not very far to go. They have like 1 day shipping. It's incredible. So that was kind of cool. Speaking of the secret and law of attraction and materializing things in your life, this has nothing to do with that, but I watched this TikTok video that kind of got me like kind of interested in like this new way of thinking. And this is going to sound crazy, so I'm just going to prepare you for this. But have you ever considered that we're living in a simulation? Everyone just left. Have you ever considered that maybe you are the only person that exists in the simulation? As though, like, I know some of us play video games. When you're playing a video game, that whole world that you see doesn't actually exist, right? Like it's what you see on the screen and everything else is kind of being written in around it. Well, this video, and I can't say whether this is true or not, but it was just an interesting way of thinking, speculated that maybe you're the only person that exists, and everything that you see in this universe that's happening, everything that you've ever learned, saw, everything that's ever been a part of you was made for you, essentially. By who? No one knows. It could be someone playing a video game. They literally, your life could be, you could be a sim like The Sims, or it could be a higher programmer. It could be an AI simulation that's being ran. It could be God. It could be anything. But what if like you're the only one, and every time like something happens to you or around you or for you or against you, it's happening because it was designed for you, good or bad. And it really got me thinking, like, just how crazy that is to think, like, and I don't like people that kind of just passively let things happen to them. Like, okay, if that's the case, then I'm going to always be okay. Like I'm just going to sit back and, maybe all these great things will happen to me and I don't have to work for it at all. I don't believe in that necessarily. I do think that if you are simulating this or whatever's happening, you probably do have something. You need to be involved in some way, but maybe you don't. We don't know. For all I know, like the person listening to this is just a part of my simulation. Maybe I'm a part of your simulation. Who knows? But it's just like, it's really got me like thinking. I know it sounds crazy, but like even at the gym today, like I look around and I see these people and I'm like, are these people just existing in my simulation? They're like simulating that a gym exists. And I know I'm losing you guys like crazy here, but I don't know. I was just thinking like that. But then I was also thinking like, wow, all of this stuff, like it kind of makes you feel a little important. Like all of this stuff is happening for me. Like nothing exists outside of this, and everything that I know that I've learned is a part of this simulation. And then you could say like, how can I impact this? But can you actually impact it? Is there any free will? Man, you didn't know you were getting into all of this nonsense here in the Greg's World podcast, getting into some philosophy. Speaking of philosophy, after the rabbit hole, we get into the very sunny. I was trying to get this podcast done before the sun ruins my operation here. Some of you guys are listening to this. In fact, a startling number of people listen to this podcast each week. It's kind of cool versus the number of people that watch it. This is 3 questions. This is the second to last week of this. I'm excited to be done with these, actually. This has been going on far too long. I've been answering 3 of these questions a week for as far back as this channel has been going. Well, in its new present form. I won't say future form, but present form. And I'm ready to like get on to some new questions and kind of like make an episode. I talked about it last week called Ask. It's going to be like Ask Greg, only we're going to Ask Reddit and answering a whole bunch of the questions like in rapid fire that they have on there. I think that'll be a fun thing to do as like a little bonus because I need to add another thing to my list. But I think if you listen to this, you'll probably enjoy the heck out of that. And it'll be like its own thing. I'll probably come to regret like adding more onto my plate. But it's something that I at least want to experiment with. So we'll try it. No guarantees on whether it stays or goes or how it's going to be delivered. But it'll be there, at least for the time being, at least for 1 week. Just take a day at a time. Speaking of taking days at a time, how well would you get along with your clone? Very well, I think. That's the green question. I was thinking how amazing it would be to have a clone. Like if there was 2 of me, we could easily put out a Lego video every day. We could have like one of us kind of going back and forth. I wouldn't want my clone to be like my slave because like I would imagine he'd have the same feelings that I have. In fact, it'd be hard to determine which of us is actually living in the simulation. But, he's working on a Lego video. I'm working on some Maui edits. We go back and forth, switching off. It'd be so great. Like I'm like, hey, dude, can you get groceries this week? Because I really don't want to do it. We'll take turns. And if you had more clones, wasn't there a Michael Keaton movie that was like this? Where he had like a whole bunch of himself kind of like getting replicated. It's not Mr. Mom, is it? That wasn't the one. It was, I swear there was a movie where he was like, there was a bunch of him. Multiplicity? I can't remember what it's called. But if I could split the work up, that'd be great. But then like, is your clone always around? Because then it's like, you got to share your wife with the clone. Like the clone's going to want to play Fortnite with Clark, man. Basically, I mean, I don't necessarily want a clone. I would like an assistant, basically, I think is what I'd prefer. I don't want somebody that like I have to like share all these resources with. The clone's obviously going to be need food, need all the resources of life. It's going to be a burden having the clone on. But if the clone can produce as much as I do, then we'd be great, right? I'd have, oh my gosh, just thinking if I had a clone, I could have somebody that's like my filmer. He could be like my cameraman. That'd be awesome. I've always needed a cameraman. Oh, but better than a clone, as I was saying. I need an assistant, like a Android assistant or something like that. Not like a Google phone. I'm talking like a robot. Robot that would be my filmer, my grocery getter, house cleaner, food preparer, like doing all the things that I don't want to do in life so I can focus on what I want to do, right? I think all of us would love that. Rich people have that. You could have that if you're rich. You could have like your nanny or whatever in your house that takes care of your live-in butler like Alfred. You could have that. You just don't have the money to pull that off yet. You might someday. Let's see what the simulation sends you. So I would love having an assistant way more than a clone for obvious reasons. You could shut off the assistant, like say, all right, shut down. Okay, Android, shut down. It's like, and then if you need him for something, like he'd be like a tool. Is what my Android would be. When my clone and I get along together, though, I talked about all the things that we would be able to accomplish, right? I think we would get along because where in this world are you going to find someone that has the exact same tastes that you have in everything? But maybe it'd be too much. I'd probably get annoyed with my clone that's always like analyzing everything. I'd be like, dude, chill. But I'd be analyzing the same thing too, or I'd like dwelling on things that are maybe sometimes out of your control that you're not sure of how the outcome's going to be yet. I'm going through something like that right now with like a pretty big thing. So he would be just as bad as me in those regards. It'd be the best of yourself and the worst of yourself times two. I don't know if the missus could handle that. That'd be kind of rough. How about you though? How would you get along with your clone? Or would you want a clone? That's a better question. Next card is the blue one. It says, what is one thing you expect from a friendship? And I guess for a friendship, just like a clone, I would want somebody that's like there for me, you know, like I'm here for you. You're there for me. We're like 1 + 1 = 3. I think that's what you want out of any relationship, whether it be a friend or like a spouse or girlfriend or whatever. You want to be like stronger together than if you are apart. And I think that's what I would want out of friendship. And just like, I guess my answer to the last one here, which is surprisingly also in the sun, but now the only thing you can see, I just completely disappeared. What would your closest friend say is your best character trait? What I would want out of a friend is my best character trait that I think someone would say about me. And that is my dependability. Reliability, loyalty. I'm a person that's very punctual. I like being on time for everything. If I tell you I'm going to do something for you, you can count on me. You can count on me. That is what I think a person or like a friend or anyone would say about me. Like, reliable dude. Yeah, like you can count on me. So I would want that to be in a friend too. It's just interesting we had 2 friend cards. I haven't like shuffle these in any way. I take the top one off every time. So we've been going through these in the exact order that they were delivered in. And we've got 1 week left. And then 3 questions is, poof, it's gone. And I'm excited to kind of go on to the next chapter. I don't like doing any one thing too long in its current form. I always like to be like moving forward, progressing, modifying things. And I'm excited to kind of get through that. Let's go into listener feedback here. This is going to be the final part of the episode before the sun takes over the entire thing and you guys can't see anything. We'll start with Cyber Productions. He's kind of not relying. He's kind of following up on a conversation from last week about making up for lost time, which is what this year of travel has been. Like 2022, 2023 is us working really hard for a very long time towards a goal and now finally ultimately realizing it through the dedication that we put to these things. He says, I can relate to needing to make up for lost time so bad. Last 6 years or so, I really haven't been able to accomplish much or do anything that was productive to get me towards where I need to be. Where I need to be, I also have zero clue, as I know my passions, what they are, but due to my health, doing any of those jobs is unrealistic for me. I'm stuck at home and 24 years old now. It just seems that my health is degrading and I feel stuck or trapped. I want to do so many things, and because of my health, I realistically cannot, because, well, I will either hurt myself or damage something even more in my body. And I always need a bathroom close by, so I'm trying to take college classes to obtain a business management degree with help desk certificate, even though that is not my passion or job. I would choose, it's realistically my best option to get a job working from home. This comment here, people tend to focus on negative. That's just human nature, and we take things for granted, and we can't see the positives. See, you're a perfect example of this. A lot of us feel like there's bad things in our lives, or like today was a bad day, or I'm in a rough spot, or whatever the case is. Just know, regardless of where you are, whether you're perfectly healthy or if you've been struggling the last 6 years with your health, there is someone that is worse off than you in this world. Someone is having a worse time than you are. There's somebody that hasn't eaten in the last week. There's somebody that has cancer and they may not be alive 2 weeks from now. Like, I think about that. And sometimes when I see videos about people that like get diagnoses or, they're living out their final days, like they're doing like, and these always get me, the vlogs where someone has cancer and they're kind of documenting that until the end and then the videos just stop. Anytime I see that, I feel awful for that person. Because usually they're just they're so positive. But then I also like have so much appreciation for my life, and you do take things for granted. And I imagine even in your situation where you feel trapped or stuck, you probably take a lot of things for granted. Your physical health isn't the only thing about you. There's a lot more going on. And while I do respect looking at your situation in life and saying, this is my best prospect, you're not going to live a fulfilled life if you don't do what you really love to do. Think about some things that you can do with your situation. Plenty of people have health issues that are able to live very fulfilled lives. Look at someone like Stephen Hawking, for example, who had no control over his body at all, but was this brilliant mind stuck inside this flesh sack that did nothing for him. He was able to live a fulfilled life. What's stopping you from doing that? Needing a bathroom nearby or hurting? I'm not discounting your feelings, and this isn't anyone in particular, I should say, because I obviously can't relate. But like you can't let even big things stop you in life because you are alive. And that's about all you can be. Like, there's a lot to be thankful for, but there's that thing in particular to be thankful for. You're alive. What can you do today with being alive? And that's what I think about. And it's so hard to like be in good health or to have good fortune of living in a country that's not at war, which will be the next comment that's here, or to not have to worry about someone killing you today, or to not have food to eat today, or whatever those cases are. Like we're very privileged in a lot of ways. So it's very hard for me to be like, oh, you should be thankful. But like we all have something to be thankful for. And you can do a thing where it's like affirmations where you're just like, today I'm thankful for this. Even though this isn't going the best way, I'm thankful for this. And I try to think about that. Like, this is what I'm thankful for. And again, sometimes those videos that I sometimes come across, and the algorithm probably knows that I watch them, where people do get bad news or they're trying to like make the best of a bad situation. Like there's so much like that goes through me where I'm just like, oh, I'm so thankful that I'm not going through that, or my family members aren't going through that. It really hits close to home, especially with having, your family members that have dealt with the same. Speaking of family members, I feel like Ronnie is a part of my family here. He says, I know a lot of people are hurting financially and have been every couple of years, like you pointed out with your discussion about the bad things that have happened. I talked last week about how I felt like things have been getting progressively worse since I've been an adult. Let's just say, we'll just go all the way back to like the terrorist attacks in 2001. It just seems like things are bad. I mean, technology has improved and is nice, but then that's also led us down probably bad routes as well, especially with kids that are growing up. But he says, we haven't had a war. However, he says, we haven't had a war that resulted in a great loss of life in a long time. And for that, I can't help but look at things as a glass half full. Also, I think it's a great idea to use Ask Reddit for your questions. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, again, looking at the positives in what seems like a negative situation, we're kind of talking about the same thing here, right? Okay, well, the economy may have been bad for years now. Inflation's bad right now. People are finding it harder to get by. But you're not dead. We haven't been nuked yet. I guess you could always look at things half full. And again, maybe people always look at like yesteryear as being like, oh man, the days were better before. But can things just progressively get worse and worse over decades? And I think like a part of the reason that I feel this way may not even be from my simulation as we keep going into this, but just from things that I see and read, like news. And a part of me just wants to avoid that at all costs, the whole news cycle. And I get most of my news from Reddit. That's where I go on Reddit quite a bit. I enjoy the conversations that people have in there. Maybe I should just not. Like, does it help me to know that inflation is going crazy? Does it help me to know that there's a war in Ukraine? Does it help me to know that this politician has done this? Does it help me to know that there's a chemical spill the state beside us and nothing's happening about it? Like, what does that do for me in my personal life? And they say ignorance is bliss, and I hate to be ignorant of things that are happening. But like, how often are you going to see a news article that says 100 puppies were just adopted from the SPCA? That's awesome. You don't see that stuff because that doesn't get people riled up enough to cause engagement. So most things that you see tend to be negative, and that's what news typically is. But part of me just wants to not be a part of it at all, because then maybe my perception of things would change. You'd be like, I don't really know what's going on in the world, but I built a pretty cool Lego pirate ship this week. I got some videos edited this week. That was pretty cool. I'm knocking things off my bucket list. Oh, inflation. Oh well. I don't know. It's a battle. Let me know what you think. Next comment, I should say. Maybe not a question. This is more of a statement. This is from Walter. He says, "Hey, Greg, I've lived in Arizona the last 7 years and never had any issues with the water. Keep up the great work. I talked last week about wanting to move to a warmer climate, but being reluctant to go to the Southwest because of the water situation there. And I think this comment is a great example of just because something has happened in the past doesn't necessarily mean that that's what's going to happen in the future. You know, you walk out in the road in front of your house every day, walk across without looking, and you'd be like, Greg, I've done it all week without getting hit by a car. That doesn't mean you're not going to get hit by a car tomorrow. And I guess I look at it like this. I'm obviously not an expert in the world of water management or resource management in the Southwest. But if I had to think of it like this, you live in an area, possibly, let's talk about like the desert. You live in an area that doesn't have any natural water. There are some water sources nearby that get piped in, which is great. But then you have a population that keeps increasing using that limited water supply and drawing that water supply down. What do you think is going to happen eventually? Maybe it's going to rain for years and years straight, and all of a sudden that's going to get filled up again. More likely than not, though, you are eventually going to run out of water. Like you can't do something that's unsustainable and expect it to be sustainable. So just because you've done something for X period of time without any issues doesn't mean that it's always going to be that way. I don't know your situation. I don't know where you live. Congratulations for not running out of water. I'm just saying, like, looking at the broad scope of things, I think I'm going to pick an area that I think could sustain life after human intervention, possibly. So I'm out on the Southwest. Seems like a nice place to visit, and someday I will go there. And I guess I should probably do it before you guys all run out of water and die, though. Just kidding. Wow. Next one comes from Zero the Hero. It says, Greg, my love of the ocean is the same. I have been lucky enough to raise 3 kiddos surfing and 1 more to come. Love the idea of race off. It's called the Great Lego Race. Okay. But yeah, idea of a race off, maybe. You're lucky to live near the ocean. At least that's a place where ideally you're going to be able to get water. Salt water. He says, what do you think about doing YouTube shorts for no 0 days? Super easy and may draw more traffic to your channels. I like the idea of doing shorts on brickitect. I think that works better. I think as I was talking about earlier for no 0 days, it's hard to put that all into 60 seconds. I mean, you could do a really fast-paced ADD type segment probably, where it's just like da 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 of like an entire day or an entire week in 59 seconds or less. But I like the idea of making more searchable regular videos that I think people will be more likely to find me by than just some random like, hey, here's my life in 45 seconds type routine. I think it'd be better to do like, what's it like to fly American Airlines from Philadelphia to Orlando? What's the best hotel to stay at in Philadelphia if going to the airport? That kind of stuff is what's going to grow my channel in the way that I want to grow my channel. Because shorts, as awesome as they seem, the audience for shorts are sometimes very different from the people that watch regular YouTube videos. And while you might get some attention from the short and maybe generate some like customers or whatever you want, viewers from that, sometimes it's going to be hollow subscribers, people that want more of that. And you're like, well, this is what I really do. You would never be caught dead watching a video that's 15 minutes long, let alone a minute and 15 seconds long. So debatable. I could see maybe doing something like, it'd have to be like probably just a little funny viral moment or something like that. Like something you'd send into Funniest Home Videos. I think I would probably do, not necessarily no 0 days like that. I guess it would probably help if I just if I actually filmed no 0 days again. That would be a good place to start. Last but not least, as the sun creeps on us even more, if you're listening, the sun has been raising up on my shirt here. This is from Natural Fitness Food. He says, aloha. Would love to hear from you and Cody talking about the Hawaii trip. Yeah, she has a huge fan base on this channel, and we like I said, there's a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and there's discussions of her making a re-emerging as a part of this channel in particular. Maybe not as it stands now or as a podcast, but something. So stay tuned for that. I don't know if that's going to be something that I announce in 30 days or 90 days or 180 days, but probably within the next 6 months, we're going to be making some moves and hopefully making things better. So I'm going to leave you on a cliffhanger for that. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you would like to, you can leave a comment, a little bit of feedback for next time. If you found some level of enjoyment or a level of appreciation out of what we do here, somehow you survived this for the last 45 minutes, there must be something you got out of it. Let me know what that is. Maybe you're just in it for the story. And if you are, that's cool. I'm in it. You're in it. Let's do it together. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you have a glorious week, and we'll find you in the next whatever this episode's called.